Welcome to Small Talk with George. In the last episode, I shared my salvation story. Today, I want to share something a little deeper. Because the truth is, my life has never really followed a normal path. I've never been interested in looking normal or sounding polished or pretending I had it all together. What I do want to do is tell you the truth. There are a few verses in the Bible that have stayed with me ever since I entered into that loving relationship with my Creator over 50 years ago. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." John chapter 16, verse 13 says, "He, God, will guide you into all truth." And then Philippians 4:19, "My God will supply every need of yours." These verses mean a great deal to me, because when I look back on my life, I can honestly say this: God has given me far more than I have ever given him. He gave me free will, the ability to choose, to love, to obey, to make mistakes, and hopefully to learn from them. That gift is powerful. Without free will, there would be no relationships, no real love, no real purpose. But it also means that every choice matters, and every choice has consequences. What I believe deep in my heart is that when we belong to our Creator, he is always working, even in the moments we don't see him or understand. Even in the moments that hurt. Even in those moments that don't make sense at the time. I think back a long time ago about my friend Alan. I mentioned him to you. I looked up to him. I wanted to be like him. And maybe that's why it means so much to me that my mom started going to church on Sundays, and my dad decided we would move just as Alan was beginning to go down a very dark road. I don't think it was an accident. I see the hand of God at work. You see, a few years after we moved, I went to see Alan. I had heard things, and I needed to know for myself. By then, he'd been in and out of jail. He was addicted to drugs. He had robbed a pharmacy. He had hurt an older woman trying to steal her purse. We sat together in his kitchen, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Jail's not so bad. It's just like sitting here, you and me, except there'd be a guard on the other side of the room, And then he looked at me and he said, "George, what happened? You became a priest, and I became a junkie." That still breaks my heart. I shared my salvation story, my experience with him. I wanted so badly for it to reach him, but I don't think it did. A few years later, not too long after that, I had heard that he had died of a drug overdose. We don't know whether it's something that just happened or if those he had been involved with caused it. But even now, that breaks my heart. He had so much going for him. Well, I told you that I'm quite the entrepreneur. I've always had that drive in me. By the way, it drives my wife nuts. Selling Sharpie pens at school, men's ties at church, firecrackers at youth camp. I've always looked for ways to make money. Now, I truly believe that if I had not entered into a relationship with God when I did, my life would have gone somewhere very different. Maybe selling drugs, probably using them, and that's not something I say lightly. It's something I say with deep gratitude to Almighty God. That lesson is so important to me that when our first son was born, I asked my wife if we could make his middle name Allen, spelt the same way my friend Allen spelt his name, so that I would always remember where I could have ended up. So I can remember what God brought me from, and remember how much grace that I didn't deserve that I'd been given. I know there are people who hear the words child of God, follower of Christ, Christian, and they think it means giving up something, giving up too much, maybe missing out on life. But my hope, my prayer, is that as you walk with me through this podcast, you'll see something different. A relationship with our Creator does not promise an easy life. It doesn't remove pain. It doesn't mean there won't be hard days and disappointments. But it does mean that we're not walking alone. It means there's hope, there's peace, there's purpose, and there's a life so much better with Him than without Him. I offer myself as that example. I know this because I've lived it, and I'm still living it. Soon in these episodes, it will become evident what my Bible verse really is. The one who calls you is faithful, and He will do it.